What if I told you that in Prince George right now, there are people buying a $650,000 home and actually paying less per month than they are in their current starter home? That sounds backwards, and most people don't believe it until they see the math. Here's the old rule: bigger mortgage equals higher monthly payment. That's the math most people are running in their heads, and it's the reason so many Prince George homeowners are sitting in houses they've outgrown, waiting for rates to drop. But that wait has a real cost. Every year you stay in a home that doesn't fit your family, you're not building equity in an asset that matches where your life actually is. You're treading water. If you built up equity and outgrown your space but feel frozen by current interest rates, this video is specifically for you, because the strategy I'm about to walk you through is going to dismantle that old math entirely. It's called the sweet strategy, and by the end of this video, you're going to see exactly how it works. Before we get into the strategy, let me give you a quick snapshot of where the market sits right now, because the timing actually matters here. On the surface, Prince George looks like a balanced market. As of the end of March 2026, there are 686 active listings across all property types in the city, and the overall months of inventory sits at 5.7. That's the number you'll see in most headlines, and if you're buying a condo or a townhome, that number is relevant to you. But here's what most people aren't talking about. When you isolate the residential detached segment, the single-family homes that the sweet strategy is built around, the picture looks completely different. Supply for detached homes sits at just 3.1 months. That puts us squarely in a seller's market territory for the product that you actually want to buy. Under 4 months of supply means demand is outpacing inventory. It means well-priced detached homes in the Hart and College Heights and Heritage are not sitting on the market for months waiting for an offer. It means if you find the right home with sweet potential in one of those neighborhoods, you are likely not the only person who has noticed. The $490,000 average detached home price creates a false sense of unlimited time. But in the desirable neighborhoods like the Hart and College Heights, buyers who understand the specific detached inventory shortage are the ones who move with the right combination of confidence and urgency. That's the edge this video gives you. Okay, here's the core idea, and it's simpler than most people think. A home with a suite is just not a bigger house, it's a revenue-generating asset. You live in the primary space, rent the self-contained suite, and use the tenant's payment to directly offset the larger mortgage principal. Think about what that actually means. When you buy a regular home, 100% of your mortgage payment comes out of your pocket every single month. When you buy a home with a suite, your tenant is absorbing roughly 40% of that cost. You're not just buying a home, you're buying a home and a partial income stream at the same time. The result is that you are purchasing a significantly larger asset while your net monthly numbers shrink to something that makes the move not just possible, but genuinely smart. That is the sweet strategy in one sentence. So let's set the baseline so the math is completely clear. You're currently in a $475,000 home. That's right around the average price for a detached single-family home in this market right now. So if that's where you are, this scenario is built for you. You've built up about $200,000 in equity, which means your remaining mortgage balance is sitting around $275,000. At your old rate of 3.2%, that payment is approximately $1,330 per month. Now here's the thing about that rate. I understand why it feels like something you can't give up. It was a generational low, but clinging to that 3.2% rate feels safe while it quietly triggers a compounding lifestyle tax. Every year spent in a home that no longer fits your family means missing out on building equity and an asset scale to your actual life. The rate you have today feels safe, but it may be costing you more than you think. Here's where most buyers stop, and I want to show you exactly why that's a mistake. You deploy $150,000 as a down payment and secure a $650,000 property. Your new mortgage is $500,000. At today's rate of around 4.5%, that payment is approximately $2,760 per month. On the surface, that looks like a frightening $1,430 per month increase, and that fear stops most rational buyers in their tracks. But stopping here ignores the cost of inaction entirely. That is the blind spot. With 3 to 4% annual appreciation, that $650,000 home hits $710 to $730 by 2029. The gap between your starter home and your target home gets wider every single year you wait. The $1,430 jump looks like the problem, but inaction has its own price tag, and it's one most people never put a number on. That calculation is also missing the critical variable, and that variable is the suite. Here's where the suite strategy changes everything. With vacancy rates low in Prince George, suites in good neighborhoods consistently generate $1,200 to $1,400 per month. That's the offset. That's the number that flips the equation. So your actual net monthly cost on that $650,000 home is between $1,360 and $1,560 per month. Your current payment is $1,330. The real difference to upgrade to a premium family neighborhood is just $30 to $230 more per month. So let that sink in for a second. For somewhere between $30 to $230 per month, you get a better neighborhood, better school catchments, more space for your family, and a significantly larger asset building equity for you every single month. And here's the bonus that most people miss entirely. In Canada, your primary residence is exempt from capital gains tax when you sell. A $650,000 home appreciating at 3% per year generates about $19,500 in tax-free equity in year one alone. Your $475,000 starter home generates about $14,250 at the same rate. That gap grows every single year. The suite strategy isn't just about lowering your monthly costs, it's about putting yourself in the best possible position to build long-term tax-free wealth. That's not the magic, that's the math. Now here's a question I know a lot of you are sitting with right now. The math looks good on paper, but can I actually get approved for $650,000? The answer is more encouraging than most people expect, and here's why. When you apply for a mortgage on a home with a suite, lenders will factor a portion of their rental income into your qualifying income. In most cases, Canadian lenders will allow you to add 50 to 80% of the projected rental income to your gross income for the purposes of stress test calculation. So if your suite is projected to rent for $1,300 per month, your lender may add between $650 and $1,040 to your monthly qualifying income. Over a year, that's between $7,800 and $12,480 in additional income the bank recognizes when deciding what you can borrow. This is not a workaround. It is standard Canadian lender protocol for income-generating properties. By adding 50 to 80% of the projected rent to your stress test calculation, the suite physically lifts your borrowing ceiling and gets you over the qualification threshold for a $650,000 asset. For many buyers in Prince George who are sitting just below that qualification threshold on their employment income alone, the rental income from a suite is what actually gets them over the line. This is exactly the kind of conversation I have with every buyer before we start shopping. Knowing what you qualify for and understanding how a suite factors into that changes everything about how you approach the search. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I don't want to be a landlord, and I hear that, but here's the reframe. You're not managing a fourplex. You're renting a single self-contained space to a highly stable demographic. In this market, that tenant is typically a nurse from the University Hospital of British Columbia, a grad student from UMBC, or a young family saving for their own down payment. Targeting high retention school catchments like College Heights and Heritage dramatically reduces your turnover risk. And the market reality backs it up. Prince George's rental market is critically tight. Full 3-bedroom houses are renting for $2,246 or more per month. That drives massive reliable demand for quality suites in the $1,200 to $1,400 range conservatively. The demand is consistent, the tenant pool is stable, and the vacancy risk in the neighborhoods the strategy targets is genuinely low. Not every neighborhood in Prince George works equally well for the suite strategy, though. Let me tell you exactly where it hits hardest and why. The Hart is your top choice for land and lifestyle. Medium home prices are over $600,000. You're getting larger lots, 3-car garages, and proximity to Perdurny trails and the outdoors, and lakes, and all the above. Suite readiness is high. A lot of newer builds and renovated homes are already purpose-built and plumbed for suites. You're not renovating a 1970s basement, you're stepping into a purpose-built layout. College Heights delivers maximum tenant stability. The neighborhood has an owner occupancy rate of 87% and the average household income of around $130,000 compared to $80,000 citywide. The premium school catchments are the retention driver here. Families move in and they stay. That means your tenant pool is people who want long-term stability too, and that keeps your vacancy buffer small and your net monthly costs predictable. If you're weighing the two, the Hart if you want maximum land and space, College Heights if you want maximum tenant stability and long-term investment profile. Now, let me give you 4 things I physically check every time I walk home for the suite strategy. This is the inspection blueprint, and knowing it before you make an offer is what separates a good suite investment from an expensive mistake. First, ceiling clearance. You need a minimum of 2 meters. That's 6'6" and 3/4 inches, with no obstructions below that height along the path of exit travel. A lot of older Prince George homes have beams, ducts, or lower ceilings that drop below that threshold. Bring a tape measure to every showing. It sounds simple, but it will save you a very costly mistake. And the second, separate entrance. You need a walkout or a side door that entirely bypasses the main living space. An exterior side door or walkout basement is ideal. If a tenant has to walk through your kitchen to get to your front door, that's not a functional suite. Third, the electrical panel. Third, the electrical panel. Check whether the home is running on a 100 amp panel or higher. Electrical capacity needs to be comfortably support dual usage. An older underside panel means an upgrade cost before anyone moves in. And fourth, roughed-in plumbing. Look for an evidence that a builder has already pre-ran pipes for bathroom and kitchen in the basement. When that work is already done, your suite setup cost drops dramatically. When it's not, you're adding significant time and money before you see your first dollar of rental income. Check for wet bars in the basement. These can be a really great way to have plumbing already set in. Now, I want to be straight with you because the math holds, but preparation is the difference between wealth and stress. There are 4 things you need to factor in beyond the mortgage payment. Setup costs, retrofitting a basement to BC Building Code standards, separate entrance, proper egress windows, kitchen rough-in bathroom, runs anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000 or higher depending on the condition of the space. Buying a property that is already suite ready eliminates this hurdle entirely. That needs to be in your numbers before you make an offer. 2. The property taxes. Increased asset value translate to marginal higher tax bills. It's not dramatic, but always account for it in the net equation. And then we have utilities. Active tenants increase power and water consumption while adding to winter heating costs in Prince George. Factor it in before you run your net monthly cost numbers. And the vacancy buffer. Always underwrite the investment assuming 10 to 11 months of rental income per year. Treat month 12 as pure upside. The vacancy risk is generally low, but no investment is completely without it, and your budget should reflect that. The numbers I walked you through today are a framework, not a guarantee. When you and I sit down and run this on a specific property, we get much more precise. But these are 4 variables that are manageable when you plan for them up front. So let's zoom out and look at what this actually builds over time, because the suite strategy isn't just a monthly cost hack. It's the start of a wealth cycle, and the cost of not acting is bigger than most people ever calculate. At a conservative 3% annual appreciation over 5 years, your $650,000 target home grows to $755,000. Your $475,000 starter home grows to approximately $550,000. The gap between those two numbers is $205,000 in additional wealth. And here's the part that makes it generally powerful. Because primary residents are exempt from capital gains in Canada, that $205,000 difference is tax-free wealth. Every dollar of it. That is the 6-figure cost of waiting, and it's a number most people never put on paper because they decide to stay put. Stop looking at the sticker price. Start looking at the net monthly cost, and then look even further out to what the asset is actually building for your family over time. That is the mental shift that separates buyers who move forward from the ones who stay stuck. The suite strategy transitions you from a passive housing consumer to an active real estate investor, continuously upgrading the quality of your balance sheet. Here's how the cycle works. Step 1 is extract. You deploy your $200,000 in a stagnant starter home equity. That money doesn't disappear. It gets put to work in a larger high-quality asset. Step 2 is acquire. You secure a premium $650,000 appreciating asset in a top-tier neighborhood. You're not just moving, you're upgrading your balance sheet. Step 3 is monetize. You activate the suite and permanently absorb a chunk of your debt with steady rental income from day 1. And step 4 is compound. You capture tax-free primary residence gains year over year while your tenant covers a significant portion of your mortgage every single month. You're building equity in a larger asset at a lower net monthly cost with a tax shelter on every dollar of appreciation. That is compounding working in your favor on every level simultaneously. And it all starts with the decisions to stop looking at the sticker price and start looking at the net monthly cost. Navigating the Prince George real estate market, it doesn't have to be stressful. I have seller's guides if you're planning to list, relocation guide for anyone moving to Prince George, and if you're looking to buy and want more tailored information, ask for my home buyers program. On top of the buyer's guide, I'll send you exclusive weekly videos and emails to walk you through the process step by step. And when you're ready to run the exact numbers on a specific property together, reach out directly. Every situation, every mortgage, and every property is unique. That conversation costs you nothing and gives you a clear picture of exactly where you stand. Just comment the word guide below, tell me which one fits your situation, and I'll send the link right over. And when you're ready to actually look at homes and list your property, the easiest way is to call, text, or email. All those details are in the description. We'll see you in the next one.